Hi everyone, this is a video just to walk us through a few basic elements of Socrates to show how to create and or revise either a course proposal or a program proposal. So this is the landing tab for Socrates for the curriculum developer. This is where you'll choose to revise an existing course, revise an existing program, create a new course or new program, or delete one, or initiate an experimental course offering. This one down here is very rare, so use that sparingly. I want to show us how to do a few basic things before getting into a few details, and I'll save most of the details for the written portion that supports this too. It provides explanations and purposes of each of the sections. This is just a starting point more than anything else, and then we'll go from there into the deeper purpose in writing. So if you want to revise an existing course, you start down here, the button's pre-selected, you click Continue. These are listed alphabetically. I would only be revising ones in my own area, so I'll choose a creative writing course. Here you see all the descriptions listed for all of the courses in Los Rios in that designator, in this case ENGCW. That's the designator right there. And once you know which one you're going to select and revise, you just come up here, click it. This is an important bit of information right here. You can never get back to this screen once you click Save and Next. Every other element in Socrates you can get back to except this one. Most of the time, when it asks you the question, are you planning to modify anything in this section, which is the title, the number, or the units, that does not apply to what you're doing. However, a few times you may decide a course does need more units in it to help support student learning. Maybe you're breaking a course apart into two, so you want to lower reduce the number of units for each of those parts, but most of the time this doesn't apply. Once you click this, you can never get back to it, and if you want to change anything about the title, the number, or the units, you will have to start again. So that's important information to put forward here. And if any of these elements are shared at any of the other colleges in Los Rios, you will have to start what's called a collaboration request. So plan ahead if you're doing any changes to these parts. Most of the time you'll just click no and you'll go forward. This creates a draft proposal, and then you can continue to the outline, and there's two ways here to start. There's no right way or wrong way. Most of us are familiar to working with the outlines when we're getting the material for our courses, the information, and you can work directly from the outline style. So this section here, and I'm just going to move some things over for the video. This section here is what we're most often familiar with. Each of these parts, once you're in the outline form, has a little highlighted section on it, and that lets you know what you can change. So identifier, the title, the number, the title, the units, you can't change again. But if you want to change a prerequisite from this, you could. If you want to change in the hours in terms of how that is written, you could do that there. Same thing with all the other elements from the description down to the SLOs and the objectives, down to course topics. So that's one way that people choose to make the revisions. I'm going to change my typical student assignments. I'm just going to click in there and work within that. The outline is perhaps the easiest way because it's the most familiar for us. That said, it's also sometimes what people want to do as they work through this. You can make your revisions from this screen, and then you just know, you know what, the only thing I'm changing for this is I'm updating textbook information. I want to go straight there, and that's what you'll work with. Or you know, somebody said something that I need to update some part of my state ID codes or something else, and that's what I'm going to be. Or I'm changing my DE percentages. That's what I'm changing. This you can bounce between the basic information, the requisites, articulation requests. I want to add CalGETSI to this. You click it there, and then you have your submission options. Even though this says launch proposal, you do have one section to complete, which is just an explanation. And we'll be going over some of these, the purpose of all these things and how to fill them out a little bit in a different video. So that's the basic way to work through revising an existing course. You can either do it through this tabbed view where you select each item, and it typically goes, once you open it, you can work through it, make some changes to it, and then click Save Next, and it takes you to the next element within Socrates. That's a nice, easy way to revise it. That's typically the way that I make large-scale changes. If I'm just changing a few things, I kind of bounce around on this to say I want to go directly to that, because it looks more like what we're all familiar with. So that's how to revise an existing course. And if you ever want to go back to that course, you stopped working on it for a little bit, you click back to My Course Proposals, there it is, that first one, and you can reopen it, and it's saved exactly where you last used it. If I were going to revise an existing program, I would do the exact same, but click over to the next button. Same process. It shows you what programs are in that department, and you just click next and you go into those things too. To create a new course, it looks exactly the same, except once you're here, going again to English Creative Writing, you're asked to choose a thematic block. Every one of our designators is broken down into a thematic block. That's explained elsewhere in the handbook. No need to go into it right now. But that's where you'll choose your thematic block. I'm going to create these new ones here. A new Introduction to Creative Writing course. I choose the number that I want to have. Click Save Next. This is where you get to name your course, all those good things. So that's the process for creating creating that course. Before you create a course, a good idea is to make sure that you've talked to at least your chair of your department, probably gotten into touch with either the curriculum chair, the articulation officer, or at least the representative for your area to get some feedback on the way that you would fill those things out. There is a Temp 301 guide that walks us through exactly what you're supposed to do. It has examples and summaries and purpose statements and all that kind of thing for every part of the proposal. So that's one of the things that you can look for there too. Going back here to the curriculum developer, if you want to create a new program, you do the same thing. You just click through there, select the department, just as you saw me do to revise an existing program. For these ones as well, especially if you're going to create a local AA or a transfer degree, make sure that you've talked to the articulation officer to get some information about how you might construct that, what the need is, that kind of thing. If you're creating a certificate for a CTE program, make sure you've talked to a few of the people who could help best you prepare that for you, including of course your department chair or the AVP of Workforce Development, just to make sure that everything is clarified there. The easiest way to do it, which is what I always did, was I just looked for similar programs, similar certificates within my area, at the other colleges, and kind of applied what I saw there to whatever I was working on. So that's the main thing, just to show us how to access this information, whether it be you're creating or revising a new course or new program. So that's just a quick video to showcase how to access the curriculum developer on Socrates, how to make a few of the key choices when you're starting a revision or creating a new course, and then the rest of the handbook, that's the real place where you're going to find the detailed purposes and explanations and examples that will help guide your revision. If you have any questions ever, you can contact the curriculum chair, the articulation officer, or your local representative, and they can give you a lot of good advice and training too. Thank you so much.